division, all those things that the kids come to us struggling with, and that they really, we really almost, sometimes if you feel like, oh, I got to catch them up, got to teach them this so that we can, get them into adding and subtracting and multiplying, dividing decimals. So they're going to offer some strategies. I think you'll all find this really interesting, and you'll have something that you can take back to your classroom. So our purpose, again, is this is a collaborative space. It's also a safe space. So feel free to share out, ask any question that you have. And we even though we use open up resources, special education teachers, sometimes we need to add in our own strategies and explicit instruction. If you are not part of the PLC and you'd like to continue to join us and earn some credit, go ahead and click the link on slide 4, and that will take you to the Wake Learns class. I take attendance every time, and we'll give you credit based on the number that you attended. I see we have some new folks here today, and I'm really glad to welcome you. Just remember our norms. Allow yourself to be an active participator, listener, contribute, and just tend to your personal needs as they arise. All right, so on slide 6, and I will go ahead and put this in the chat, there is a link to an activity called What's Shakin' Bacon. Go ahead and open that link. And what you're going to see is some different people with a different type of shake. So we got Taylor Swift. We've got the little girl. I don't know where the little girl's from. Snoop Dogg. The Shake and Bake guys from Talladega Nights. We got lots of them. What has your shake been this week? So take a look through them. Put the number in the chat that what's yours been this week. These are funny. I like number 9. I love that. Number 8, she's just scared, poor thing. I know it's already February, and January was a long month, especially when we come back from those breaks. And we're all of a sudden hit with kids. Yeah, 5 is a good one. Yeah. It's already February. And of course, we're hearing a lot about Taylor Swift now. If you're watching the Super Bowl, or I saw lots of things online. Yeah, look, Taylor Swift's coming to the Super Bowl. So, oh, number 7. Yeah, you're having a lot of fun over there. All right. Love it. Matroba feels like, oh, yeah, what? That's the way you can feel after holiday breaks, after a long, you all had a rather long break, though, because you're modified. So, yeah, and track out. Some of us just came back from track out. Okay, thank you all for sharing. And I am going to go ahead and let one of you all present so I don't get thrown off, and I'll let y'all do the talking.
Matroba, do you want to drive yourself, or do you want me to drive while you're talking?
You're muted.
I got so many streams open, so many things open. I'm trying to make sure I'm at the right one. So I'm trying to close something so I won't lose nobody. Hold on, let me. Okay, I'm gonna try. If I get lost, I'll tell you. All right, so I want to apologize. I'm actually have to start game duty in about a few minutes. So, but that's why I'm here. I'm gonna go first. So thank you for allowing me to go first, so I can put it on mute. I'm just supervising. That's all I'm doing. All right. So the first thing that strategy that I found that has been helpful. I've been talking with a lot of other teachers also. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Okay. Let me get to my string.
I think
I
Trish
should-
is presenting for you, so
Is she?
Yeah.
Thank you, Trish.
you let her know when to
One
change.
second. Let me
Okay.
get to the. Let me
Go
get.
to the first one for me.
All right, I'll do it.
Thank
Almost
you.
there. Hold on a second. There we go.
Okay, so actually, I got this from one of my co-workers. We would start to collaborate together. You probably know her, Kathy Sargent. If I think she used to come to them, but we was talking, and I'm sorry, that's a typo in there, but it's pre-assessments. Doing pre-assessments first actually help you figure out what the target is. Sometimes it may just be certain multiplication facts that you need to work on. Some kids might not have the actual knowledge what they need to know which examples for like ones, like the zeros, the rules to zero. And most people, most children, when we teach them, we say, okay, anything times zero is zero. Okay. So maybe they thinking that anything times one could be one. So that could be, you have to clarify that confusion up. So having a pre-assessment, it will be helpful to figure out what target one's multiplication that you need to do. Then the link it says out or rules for ones, zero and ones, but actually this is a song. I found out actually a song. And Trish, if you can click it, it's kind of long, but we can just do a few seconds of it, I guess. Can you click that link? Is it working? I could totally relate. Okay.
You'll
Trish,
have
can
to
you
share that tab.
is it
Oh,
not?
yeah. Hold on a second. Sorry. There we go.
Okay.
Yep.
Can
Yay!
you hear it? It's very long, but it covers the multiplication. So that is
Yo, we're here to teach you to multiply. You will learn. All you have to do is try. Just hang with us and perform these rhymes, so you'll know how to do your time. Yo, I'm the one that DJ don't wrong. I've got all the facts, more than just talk. The Get Smart crew will help me along. We're the best there is, so you can't go wrong. You know you can learn. You know you can. You know you can. You know you can learn. You know you can. You know you can. You know you can learn. You know you can. You know you can. You know you can learn. You know you can.
My name is MCM. Let me explain the way that the answers get in your brain with the DJ. Say the facts so fast. It would be fun. You'd be having a blast. When he first said the answers, he doesn't wait. The second time he does, but don't hesitate. When you get real good and you move into it, try to beat the DJ. Practice hard and you can do it.
You know you can learn. You know you can. You know you can. You know you can learn. You know you can. You know you can. You know you can learn. You know you can. You know you can. You know you can learn. You know you can.
Listen up, my name is capital C. Rock and learn is the greatest, you will see. But before the facts, here's something fun. How to multiply by 0 and 1. Any number times 0 always equals 0. Any number times 1 equals that same number. I said any number times 0 always equals 0. Any number times 1 equals that same number.
That's multiply.
okay. Okay. Good, Patricia. That's good. So let's move to the go back to the slide. Thank you.
Okay.
But that's just a little motivation to encourage in learning and a strategy for learning multiplications instead of trying to just drill all the time. Also, using multiplication grids where you can teach students how to use the grid, because a lot of students don't know how to actually follow and they'll get confused with the fingers and trying to find the answer. And actually providing them a chart along with it to fill in the the multiplication facts also has been helpful. And also to practice to it's a proficiency tool to actually practice the multiplication facts, ascend math, and that's a and you can also do your progress monitoring from this if you need to. If you click that, Patricia.
When I click it, it comes to this.
Okay. I don't know what that is. Maybe we have to. Okay, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe something you have to purchase or something. Sorry about that. But that is a good tool to use.
I think I
Um,
found it.
you found it?
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's hold on one second. Yeah, I think it's give me 1 second to share that screen.
Okay. If not, we can go forward and come back to it.
There you go.
Okay.
Is that what you were talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can go in for, let me see. Where is it? Multiplication, fluency. But it's flashcards. There you go. You can do flashcards, but it's a whole bunch of things you can use. I think, yeah, there you go. And actually, it just not only for multiplication fluency, you can use add and subtract and multiply and dividing. And you can customize it how you want, and the students can use it. And this is a good tool for progress monitoring, especially if you want to use it for to gather some data. But you will have to write it down or print it out kind of immediately. Okay. All right. The next slide, please. All right. So this right here, okay, is modeling the CRA multiplication. This concrete. That's the touch.
My hand wet.
Okay,
Now
we don't have.
I'm
Hold
gonna
on for a
slam it
second.
on this piece of
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Sorry.
That's
I
all
clicked on
right.
it and then I paused it. So there we go.
Okay. So having concrete touching and then the representant to represent like maybe a picture or showing how to do it, and the abstract actually solving. Okay. So and this right here is a video that I found, and they use base 10 blocks to help demonstrate it. And instead of trying, because what I try to do is kind of just draw it out and everything. But I like this because it has the base 10 blocks and it demonstrates it along with it for the students to be able to see everything. So if you can, I'm not sure can you hear it?
I had it muted while you were talking.
Okay,
Done
thank you. I'm
here
sorry.
is I've taken my base 10 blocks and I've represented 25 times 13. Let me show you how. 25 we know has 2 in the tens place value. So I represent that with one group of 10 and a second group of 10. It also has a 5 in the ones. So I've taken 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 individual unit cubes to represent my total of 25. My other factor is 13. So I've placed that at the top of your screen here by showing one group of 10, because there is one group of 10 in the number 13, and 3 groups of one individual unit cubes. So 10 plus 3 is 13, and 10 plus 10 plus 5 is 25. That's expanded form. Those are my 2 factors in what I'm multiplying today. Now, if I didn't know how to do the traditional method of multiplication, one of the best ways to learn what multiplication is actually doing is by using concrete objects like base 10 blocks. So I'm going to take those factors and I'm going to separate them out with these little sticks here. These blue sticks then are going to call to mind that the numbers on the outside are actually my factors. And now the area right here is what I'm going to fill when I multiply each piece by each piece. Let me show you what I'm talking about. In multiplication, you take step-by steps in place value to multiply, which we'll get to once we get to the actual numbers. But using base 10 blocks, it's more visual and you can see what we're doing. For example, we take this group of 10 and multiply it by 10. And when you multiply a group of 10 by 10, you get 100. So I'm going to fill my surface area with a block of 100. And then I'm going to take this 10 and multiply it by 1. And 10 times 1 is 10, a group of 10. I'm going to do 10 times 1, which is a second group of 10. And then I'm going to do 10 times 1, which is a third group of 10. Then I move right on down in my equation. And I'm going to take this group of 10 and multiply it by this group of 10 on the outside of my blue lines here. And remember, 10 times 10 is 100. And I continue to multiply the rest. 10 times 1 is a group of 10. 10 times 1 is 10. And 10 times 1 is 10. I'm ready to multiply my ones. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. I'm going to do that 5 more times, 4 more times, because I have 5 ones here. 1 times 1, 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. And I continue. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. And 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1, 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Let's just make sure I remember. I always say spelling doesn't count in math, but neatness definitely does.
All
And
the
if
way
I were to
down that
leave
way,
those blocks
because
the
you're
way that they were,
downstairs, it's
I would
underneath
maybe
the
have thought that I
auditorium.
was finished.
If you go all the
when
way
in
to the end,
reality,
you go down
I
the stairs,
wasn't.
you'll find it. Yep,
I
sure.
still have one more row to do, which is 1 times 1, which is 1. 1 times 1, which is 1. And 1 times 1,
Patricia,
Yep.
which
I
is
think
1.
we can pause it. And
Okay.
everyone else, that if you want to, you're interested in that, you can go to that link. Okay.
I
All
also
right.
dropped in the chat. There's a product from Lakeshore Learning
Yes.
that does. It's a hands-on multiplication division kit that uses that same area model.
Mhm.
And it's, I don't know if you have PTA money,
Mhm.
grant money, whatever, but that's a really good kit. It's around $40. I'm not telling you to buy it, but with your personal money, but if there's money available,
Well, we
that's
have some. The principal asked us what we want, so hey, I might. Now I think
and
I
if you
might.
also just joined us, I dropped the slides in there too.
Okay, great. All right, and the last one, I think this is the last slide I have. Multiplication strategy. It's just the array model. It's just like it's something that I've adopted a long time ago when the student that had very difficulties with multiplication just got so frustrated and really wanted to know them. And this way right here, it helps them to just set it up to give them immediate success with multiplication. An example is say 3 times 4. The students order their manipulatives into 3 rows of 3, and each row contains 4 pieces, and all they have to do is count it up, and that will give them what the multiplication fact is. And so I have students draw it out. I had one year a student just drew. I told him for the test, I said, listen, you can use as much paper if you want. For the ELG, if you need the multiplication facts, use as much paper as you want. And he used so much paper, but he felt successful because he could see it, and he can count it, and he knew he had the multiplication fact correct. So that was something that helped with motivation too, and then encourage them. I think that's the last slide. Anybody have any questions? Did I have another slide, Joy? Oh, okay. So, all right. Sorry. One more. I'm sorry. Um, multiplication strategy. This is right here is what the video and the gentleman was referring to, the expanded multiplication method. This way here, you can also use your place value charts, and then just put your numbers in. It's the video explaining how to use it. You multiply the digits starting with the smallest number, and then you add it up. It's similar to what the base 10 blocks they use, but this right here, they actually use it and rewriting in actual numbers. Okay, so when you have time, you can just click that and view that on your own if you would like. And I know I'm talking a lot, so I'll turn it over to
All right.
Bishop.
Thank you, Maturba.
Thank you,
You're welcome.
Matroba. We
You're welcome.
appreciate it.
No
Yeah,
problem.
those were some great strategies. All right, let me go back over here. So I know like you hit a lot of struggles sometimes when you're diving into Unit 5, because that's where you're really using no calculator and you're really focused on your arithmetic, either in base 10 or with rational numbers, except in 8th grade when you've got functions and volume. But those 6th and 7th grade skills are hard for some of our kiddos because they've relied on the calculator for so long, and they don't really have they don't all have well-developed number sets. So they run into some roadblocks. I just put there the kind of the standards, what we're doing for grade 6. And I focused on that because I think that's kind of where we're really looking at, they're using what they have in elementary school, and they're using it with fractions and decimals. And then later on in 7th grade, they're adding integers with that. So I thought, whenever I've taught this, I've kind of thought to myself, what are the challenges? And then I kind of know how I can support kiddos in trying to either get around or get through those challenges. There's always some unique ones that are unique to every group of kids, but I think for me, the most common ones related to just the long division aspect of Unit 5 is low fact fluency. And by that, I mean flexibility, not speed, but they have trouble if they don't know the fact, kind of reasoning through to find the answer. Or some of them don't realize that, multiplication and division are opposites, and they can use one to find the other. The other thing I find is just that those gaps in number sense, not really being able to look at even two whole numbers and decide if your answer is going to be larger or smaller. Keeping everything lined up was always hard for the kids that I've worked with when using the traditional algorithm for division. And then just holes in that conceptual understanding, not really understanding that, we're talking about a certain number of things in a group or equal groupings when we're talking about division. Do you guys have any other challenges that you see with your groups of kids with long division? Or do you kind of see this same kind of thing? All right. Anyone?
You can put it in the chat too. I'm watching the chat. So
Yeah, absolutely. So I kind of broke those down and kind of just put some things in here to hopefully help you target those. And again, I really think we learn best from each other. I think I've shared before that last year was my first year meeting Matroba, and she and I probably have similar amounts of years in education, but I felt like every time we talked, I learned something new. And, when I talk with teachers, whether they're experienced teachers or teachers who are first year teachers, I feel like we all can learn from each other. So please, if you have something to share, jump in there. With long division, to target that low fact fluency, I think the thing I had to remind myself was by the time they get to middle school, a lot of our kids have been working on multiplication facts for 3, 4, 5 years, and they still haven't gotten it. And some of our kids are diligent and they work hard and they'll review them every day and fill out those charts. But when it comes to them committing it to memory and kind of being able to spit it back at you, they just can't. So I had to remind myself that these skills aren't going to be developed overnight. So I kind of had to have ways to target them, but then also to accommodate for them. So some things that I found super helpful are using some near facts. And I think, Joy, you actually have a video at the end that is the same thing, and it was called Derived Facts.
Derived facts.
Which I had never heard of that before, but it's a great name.
It's basically near facts. It's like if you know your 2s, 5s, and 10s,
Yep.
and I know 5 times 2, but I'm stuck on 7 times 2. Well, I
Yep.
can just add 2 more groups of 2. So maybe we'll have time to look at it, but same thing.
Yeah, and there's a video there too on this slide if you guys want to look at it. I can tell you that I've had probably the most success with this, more success with this than I've had with finding a fact and counting up or counting down. I was using this the other day when we were solving equations, actually. And one of my kids said, Miss Winslow, when did you get into this business? It was really funny. And he found that it was super helpful too. But yeah, basically you just kind of break the fact apart into 2 or even 3 parts that kind of help kind of chunk the problem and then combine them. That's the same thing with partial products too. That can kind of, with partial products, you can use your box method as well, and add partial products with different place values to help with more complicated multiplication. And then viewing a division problem as a multiplication problem, I think has been helpful for my kids too. So they don't have to kind of remember or reason through two sets of facts. If you can find your multiplication, you can find your division. I think I've had to encourage them to use a multiplication chart. But what I found is even in the general ed classroom, and you guys can jump in here too, there's a lot of kids who aren't served with special education plans that also need to have that multiplication chart out. I think the more they're seeing it, the more they're using it, hopefully they're learning some things or making some connections. And then I think some games or practice, I know a lot of parents will call and ask, what can I do to help? Or, what can they work on over track out? I think these, there's a lot of multiplication division games that you can find online that just kind of have kids have exposure. And so those are always easy things to suggest to parents who are looking for something extra. Oops.
How does no
Sorry. All right. Again, I kind of felt like a second challenge with long division was gaps in number sense. And so I think, the more you can show and not tell, the more they can put their hands on things and kind of move through really understanding what's happening, the more helpful it is. So with long division, you've got to know your facts. So using those manipulatives like those rec and recs we got, the base 10 blocks and cubes to help, just to help students reason and kind of figure things out, make some connections and see what's actually happening. And I know I went to the rec and rec training, and in our session, we talked about ways to use it for multiplication and division. So if you haven't been to that, that might be something to sign up for.
We're not sure if we're having one again with Hand in Mind, but we might do our own version. So
yeah, well, or even reach out to somebody who went. They can always share. That's sometimes one of the best things about PD is somebody takes something and shares it with people. So, again, I always have to remind myself that these things are not easy fixes, and we're not going to develop them overnight. But I think while you're trying to help kids gain knowledge to fact fluency and things like that, really helping them build that number sense so they can make those connections and learn new things. I think I shared last time I think I was probably at NCAT last time when I met. So these are some things that we did there that I thought would be really good in contributing to that number sense development with either multiplication or division. And they should work with a link. This one goes to a site that's got a lot of different things already developed. And you just kind of look here, there's different, pictures, and they talk about whether they're the same or different and how are they same and different. Just kind of bringing in those conversations about, having conversations about what makes these the same, what makes them different, and then exploring how those connect to how you would maybe write a multiplication problem or a division problem. And these links have things that go up to higher grades. Oops, sorry. I'm having trouble clicking today. I liked this one, the 12 divided by 3 and 120 divided by 3, talking about how those are the same or different. I like the which one doesn't belong. Our Open Up curriculum, I think, does a really great job of putting that. They insert that a lot into just the regular lessons that we have. But let's see if I can show you. There's another site right here that you can click on with that link that has all kinds of pre-made which one doesn't belong, just to kind of talk about numbers and differences and even things like graphs and equations if you want to use it for something that's not related to Unit 5. So I encourage you to take a look through those, see if you find any of those that might be helpful. And then another routine for number sense was would you rather? And I just picked this one because I know we were working on kind of arithmetic and specifically more multiplication and division were troublesome skills. So this is just something you could have maybe in your warm up every day, a picture, and then ask them, would you rather? So this one was, would you rather have 5 rows and 14 columns or 7 rows and 9 columns? I did this with my kids the other day, and we actually had some pretty good conversations where they were trying to figure out, well, who's got the most? And someone said, well, I don't like chocolate, so I'd rather have just a few because I'm going to throw them in the garbage. So I think that was, it was interesting to see their thoughts and also interesting to see how they came up with the numbers and why. This also links you to a site that if you want some just pre-made stuff, really all the way up to high school, you could take a look. I pulled from 3.5 because we were working with kind of basic facts, but I think these are there's a lot of good things here just to have kids start thinking about numbers and how they work and what they mean.
Go ahead, Matrova.
Patricia, well, that site that you just showed, is that free?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so this site right here, all of these things are free, and you can actually contribute to them too. So if you make one, you can do that. But I think these are really good to have just to generate conversations about numbers, or to even have, you could even do like a decide and defend why it's better to read 12 pages every night in a chapter book versus reading 50 pages every night with 132 pages. You could kind of put your own spin on it. All right. Any
And make
questions?
sure these are all linked in the slides that I've shared, so I think everybody should have the link to them, but they're there. So
Yeah,
I'll drop it again just in case.
and we got I did receive a couple of books. I wanted to say it was Teaching for Thinking was one of them. I don't have them with me. I let another teacher borrow them. And there's another one for middle school number sense routines. So I'd certainly be willing to borrow or to loan those out to anybody. I got them when I went to NCAT. If this is something that interests you and you just want to see some more routines, I thought those books were pretty good, and we got them as a gift. So, all right. I think one of the other challenges with long division is lining everything up and keeping it in line. I've had kids that graph paper really helps them, but I've also had kids that they kind of disregard the lines on the graph paper and it's everywhere. This was actually something I learned last year. One of the general ed teachers at the school I was at had shared it with the other members of the PLC. And I think this was a game changer for some of our kids. For some reason, it didn't seem as overwhelming or cumbersome. And I think it's because it wasn't going on forever and kind of maybe moving into other problems or mixing things up. So it basically is the same as the traditional algorithm. It's just organized differently. And so I really liked this. I don't know if anybody's seen this before. Maybe you could put in the chat a Y or an N. If you've seen it before, put a Y. If you haven't, put an N.
So we have quite a few who haven't.
Okay. Well, I'll play a little bit of this video because I do think that it's pretty helpful.
Welcome to Math with Mr. J.
In this video, I'm going to be covering the box method of division, and this is a different way of doing long division. The process is going to be very similar to traditional long division, but the benefit to the box method is organization. This method can help with staying organized throughout the entire process, and it's also going to help line all the columns up. This specific video is going to be 3-digit numbers divided by 2-digit numbers. So let's jump into number 1, where we have 336 divided by 14. So 336, this is our dividend. It's the number that's being split or divided up, and we're dividing by our divisor of 14. So we are ready to set our problem up, and we start with a rectangle or box here, and we need to split it into 3 sections. And we do that because our dividend, 336, has 3 digits. So let's fill in 336. Now our divisor, 14, goes on the outside. And that's how you set up the box method. And we're ready to go through our steps. And those are at the top of your screen. Divide, multiply, subtract, bring up, and repeat. So these steps are almost exactly the same as the traditional long division steps. The only difference, in the box method, we bring up rather than bring down like the traditional way. And you'll see what I mean here in a second. So we start with divide, and we take a look at this 3 here to start us off. So 3 divided by 14. How many whole groups of 14 can we pull out of 3? Well, we can't do that, so we need a 0 here. Now we multiply. 0 times 14, 0. Subtract. 3 minus 0 is 3. Now we bring up. So we bring this 3 up to the next digit. And we repeat our steps. So now we have 33 divided by 14. So how many whole groups of 14 out of 33? Well, 2 times 14 is 28. 3 times 14 is 42, so 3 is too many, so it's going to be 2. 28 is as close as we can get. So now we multiply. 2 times 14 is 28. And subtract. So we need to borrow here, and we end up with 13 minus 8, which is 5. Or if you used mental math to solve that subtraction problem, that's fine too. So after we subtract, we bring up. So let's bring the 5 up here. And now we end with 56 divided by 14. Well, you may not know the 14 facts off the top of your head, so we can estimate and check. So we said 14 times 3 was 42. Let's try 14 times 4 and see how close we can get to 56, or maybe it goes over. So come to the side, and we will do 14 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So we hit 56 exactly. So 4 groups of 14 in 56 there that we can pull out of 56. So multiply. 4 times 14 is 56. Subtract. 56 minus 56 is 0. So that 0 there, this last 0, that tells us that we do not have a remainder. So our answer is 24. And I'll read.
So that's again just something that I thought was pretty helpful when trying to figure out or trying to help kids figure out how to keep things organized and how to make it. It just doesn't look as difficult, I guess, because it's not as long. You can also do this with dividing decimals. You just put your decimal point in there if it's already in there, and move it as you've got to move it. If you need to move it from your divisor. And then you can also, if you do not just want to have a remainder of 6 or a remainder of something, you can add a decimal and add boxes as you need to. But a lot of the kids that we use this with seem to be able to get to the right answer with less errors. So maybe give it a try. Any questions so far, or any input on things that have worked for you with lining things up and keeping it all together?
Right.
Oops, sorry.
Welcome to
Yeah. All right. And then, the other thing is that those holes in the conceptual understanding, not really understanding that we're working with equal groups or equal parts. So I think the more you can incorporate, hands-on sorting activities to show about distributing, making equal groups, modeling problems with remainders, drawing it out after you're using manipulatives so they can see that, we have 4 buses and we want the same number of kids on each bus. Or how many buses do we need if this many kids are going and we can have this many on each bus. Having them actually work through those problems, those kind of real life scenarios after you've built that understanding with that concrete and representational aspects. Any questions? The other thing that, we've got computation with decimals in 6th grade. Some of the same challenges are there, and some of the same strategies can be used to help with understanding. I think one of the big challenges with decimals is understanding place value. I would pull out those place value charts. The little diagrams that actually show you the different place values. I used to put that in my kids' notebook, and when we worked with decimals, we pulled it out. We practiced reading those numbers. We talked about what it looked like and what it meant, and how big or how small those numbers were, which was super helpful. I think we accommodated by, talking about the rules for lining up for adding or subtracting, counting the number of decimal places when we're multiplying and things like that. But then we tried to teach them why that happens, why it works. And here there's a couple of different things, using a number line to help them show where they fit and where they are in between 2 whole numbers, or how big or how small things are. You can use a ruler for that as well. I think with decimals, teaching them estimation, rounding, what is this number close to? If you've got a number that's close to 5 and close to 7, can you multiply those numbers together and get a close to answer? And then sometimes I'd have them use a calculator to check, because it was helpful for them to see how close or how far away they were. There's some different things up in here too, if you want to take a look at them. There's some number sense activities, and there's a video there on just a strategy that you can use for multiplying decimals.
Multiplying decimals with models.
Show them with models. So any of those things you should be able to click on and access. Anybody else do any cool place value kinds of things that really help kids understand?
Patricia?
Yeah.
Ian, I was just thinking, and I was looking too. Ian, I know when we used to use trans math,
Yep.
a lot of that was in there.
Yeah, I was thinking about that with multiplication too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I go back and reference sometimes and use those books, and I have books and workbooks, and I just use them, and the students pick up that very, by giving them the worksheets and everything, and she demonstrating it.
Yeah.
And it's easy for them because they can see it and it's broken down. So when anything that you can break it down so they can understand it is very helpful.
And probably your school has a good amount of trans math stuff. I know, I think every school I've ever been in has a lot of it. The other thing with that too is the kids like those books, I think, because they don't look babyish. I think they look like a middle school textbook. So a lot of times that helps with buy-in too. Thanks,
if you have the
Patricia.
green book, right, that's the first thing it starts with.
Yep.
You have the green trans math workbooks. Dion, we are out, but I don't know if I can find somebody who has a few extra. We'll see. We'll look and see.
That would be great, because I know I used to use that before I moved here in Burke County, and if I really loved it, and I hate that we don't use it here, but yeah, if that anything that would be great if there were some around that that we have to share.
Yeah, I'll take a look for you.
Thank you so much.
Joy, I don't know if they still have them, but Alston Ridge used to have a lot of the green workbooks and books.
Okay, I'll check there.
Yeah. So, again, you've got those gaps in number sense. And again, these things are not going to be quick and easy answers. These are things that I think we all have to do, even as kids move into general ed in math and as they move into high school. I think kids need still to have these practical considerations and kind of build their common sense with numbers. I linked a couple of things here, the which one doesn't belong. And would you rather, those are just different activities. I've already linked those links there, but these were some more examples that were kind of more related to decimals, just to kind of start to think about what makes sense. Why does it make sense to do this? Or what's the same or what's different about these? And how does that impact what we do with the numbers or what they mean? And then this is yours, Joy. Did anybody have any questions about any of the information or any other suggestions or ideas or resources?
So if you do have questions, just drop them in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. I attended, and we're going to start offering some training in our district for math, students with math learning disabilities and the best strategies that work for them. They really don't work for just students with learning disabilities. They really work for all students. And I've been talking with, our training was with Dr. Brad Witzel, who is out at Western Carolina. He was one of the writers of some FOM stuff and some other things. He's done a lot of research. And if you've taken Foundations of Math with us, you'll know that we talk about derived facts being the number one. When we talk about memorization of facts, or there's all kinds of strategies that go into that, but knowing their derived facts contributes better to student success with higher math. So if you can start teaching your kids, there's a distributive property thing in here I really, really like. I never even thought of using it. But I just this is just about 6 minutes long or so. I want you to take a look at it and just kind of think about some of the ways that you can use this in your classroom. I know we put a lot of information out to you today, and that's why we share the slides. So just pick a few things and do them well, rather than trying to do it all.
All right, so let's go ahead and now take a look at those derived facts. So here we're coming back to our chart. And once again, the facts that are in the white are those that can be derived or figured out from those foundational facts. As you can see, pretty heavy in those 6, 7, 8, 9s, and then in the 3s and 4s, those near foundational facts are something we can keep in mind as we're thinking about what we could use to derive those facts efficiently. So for example, for the fact 6 times 8, I look at that fact and I think, oh wow, 6 is really close to 5. So 5 groups of 8 is 40, so then one more group of 8 would be 48. 5 times 8 is 40, 1 times 8 is 8, and that would be 48. That would be a derived fact. The foundational fact I used was times 5, but really what's happened is I've distributed that 6 into 5 groups of 8 and 1 group of 8. So I use that distributive property. Another example would be the fact 6 times 7. Oftentimes that's a difficult one for students. I know my squares. For whatever reason, 7 times 7 has always been easy for me. 7 times 7 is 49. However, it's 6 times 7, so I actually need one less group of 7, and that would be 42. In that case, I kind of used what's called compensation. I added on an extra group, but then I adjusted it, and I used the foundational fact of squares. How about the fact 9 times 8? Well, I know my facts of 9 are close to 10, and I'm really good at 10. So 10 times 8 equals 80. but I didn't have 10 groups of 8. I only had 9 groups of 8. So I have to subtract one group of 8 away. 80 minus 8 is 72. Now, you can really see here how you have to be good at those pairs of 10, because when I subtract 5 groups of 8 and 2 groups of 8, and then I get
jumped ahead a little bit
56.
here.
If I thought about that fact as 8 times 7, 4 times 7 and 4 times 7, I can double 28.
Do you see how she's decomposing that first number into simpler facts? So kids to get 8 times 7, they don't go, 8 times 7. You know, they can take that into chunk it into smaller numbers if they'd like, decompose it. One of the things I want to encourage you to do, we are working on getting a fluency program for everybody, but have those number talks with kids. Just like I like the 12 divided by 3 and the 120 divided by 3. What does that look like? How is it same? How is it different? Have number talks with your kids. Put a challenging fact or challenging multiplication problem on the board and ask the kids, how do you solve this? And have them talk about it. Sometimes classmates share strategies other classmates didn't know. Sometimes you can share a strategy that students don't know, and they can start talking through their facts. It's been proven that when kids know their derived facts, they're much more successful in a higher level math. And that's what we're really trying to get them to do. So spending any kind of time on multiplication is going to be very valuable when you're in middle school. So what questions do you all have? Oh, okay. It's slide 21.
Okay, so
Oops, the video started. I'll share the slideshow again, but it's near the very end of the slides. But I can share it again.
all right, so let's go ahead.
There's a lot of information out there about derived facts. We used to think that fluency meant fast. Fluency means being able to have some sort of strategy. They don't have to do it in 2 seconds. They have some sort of strategy to be able to do that addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, or whatever they're doing mentally. We have some training coming up. If you're a middle school teacher exploring math with hands-on equations, you can spend a half day with us in the afternoon on February 19th is the next one, and March 11th. I think February 19th, most people are, it's a PL day for modified calendar. So if you're able to attend, we'd love to have you. You will also get your own hands-on equations kit to take back to your classroom. And then we have Math for All on the morning of the 19th and the morning of March 11th. That is with Dr. Chris Kane from Mars Hill University, who is great to listen to and fun, and will share some strategies that you can take right back to your classroom as well. These are our resources. Our PLC videos are going to go onto our PLC calendar, which is the first link there. So what I've been doing is just linking the videos in as we are having them. And we will not be having our data due to a conflict on February 8th. We will not be having our data in, we had a data podcast, a data PLC planned, but we will not be having that one so if you are one who attends that, just know we're not having that. And I think our next meeting is actually February 15th. So I know this one snuck up on us fast because they gave you that little extra week in January. Please reach out to us if you want, have any suggestions of what we can cover in PLC. I know Trisha and Matroba work really hard to cover things that are relevant to you and that you can use in your classroom right away. I'm also welcome to, I'm happy to come out to your school and support you as well, or support you with any upcoming unit plans you have. So we got out a little bit early today. It's 4:41. I hope everybody has a wonderful Friday and a great weekend, and we will see you all on the 15th.